What's up, sad boys? How are we doing? Last time I talked about our boys who had fell out, I compared them to Scene Kings at the time, Panic at the Disco, because in terms of credibility within the scene, I thought it would also be interesting to take the follow-up to that album, Infinity on High, an album I enjoy immensely, and put it up against the very comparable Folie à Deux before they broke up, before they transformed into the pop arena kings that they are today, a band that I no longer pay attention to. I thought it would be interesting to look at two albums that aren't necessarily in the beginning of their career to find out which one is the better mid-Fall Out Boy career release. Let's kick this challenge off with our number one slot, starting with Thriller. From Under the Cork Tree was highly acclaimed, but unfortunately for us teenagers, moms also happened to like Fall Out Boy, and they did really well on the late night circuits. They did really well at the Grammy shows. They were like the punk band that your family could enjoy. But when something that you feel speaks so true to you, when you feel that something is so integrally tied to where you are in your generation, in your place of the world, when it becomes bigger than that, when it feels like it outgrows you, you feel sort of betrayed. You can feel kind of left behind. And I think that's why Fall Out Boy became so polarized. Infinity on High comes in hot with the commentary fully aware of their reputation. Fall Out Boy has never been afraid to engage in the conversation that's being created around them. Fair enough, all bands, all people should be able to have a say in the image that is being created. But thanks to pop celebrity status of Pete Wentz dating Ashley Simpson, all sorts of controversy, maybe a penis or two on the internet, all these things add up to a band that just has so many opinions around them. What do going into their highly anticipated follow-up record? You get one of the most respected rappers to ever live to come out and introduce you. To have Jay-Z starting out your pop punk record, what you critics said would never happen. We dedicate this album to We dedicate this album to anybody people said couldn't make it. To the fans that held us down, till everybody came around. Welcome, it's here. Everyone who said that they wouldn't be a band, everyone who ever shit on them, this album is to say, we hear you, we know the conversation around us, but we're not gonna let that get us down. We're gonna come in with the breakdown, playing hard, heavy, with deep tones. I have always enjoyed their ability to be cheeky and fun, but still say something that is true and sincere. So I think Thriller purposely just gets me in the mood for whatever the fuck comes next, especially since it just jumps right into track number 2. I will ever say FOB like how Jay-Z does. It's just ingrained within me. The question becomes, does Folie outdo that introduction to the album with Disloyal Order of the Water Buffaloes? Folie Outdo, from the very beginning, takes a completely different approach. This feels a lot more personal, like maybe we'll actually be peeling back the layers of who the people are, the music, the piano, the way it starts, in comparison to Thriller that just comes out slamming it in your face from moment one. You get a little more of a build-up. It's almost like a something that this band does do a little bit in these albums that they completely fucking just go overboard in their later work is that sampling and like calling back to other music of Americana, calling back to music that influences them. They don't really do cover songs, but they will take samples and work it into the music they're playing. For some reason, this album really pushed me away. This was an album I wasn't ready to go into, maybe because the conversation of Fall Out Boy at the time, maybe because I outgrew them. It seems weird looking back that I gave Infinity on High a chance when I was 14, but then I was skeptical at Folie Out Deux. I enjoy Infinity on High. I have great affinity for the Infinity. But when it came to this album, there was just something about the album cover and the singles that it just like completely pushed me back. I must say, all these years later, when I came around to give it a proper chance, a proper opportunity, I was incredibly pleased by the sentiment, by the earnesty that they are presenting in their music. The way that Patrick Stump sings, there's a hole where something was, feels so earnest and sweet and genuine that you can't help but feel kind of bad for the guy. So when you put that on top of Pete Wentz's adorkable lyrics, it gives off a person that you relate to, but you also kind of hate. But when it comes to the best opener, do I want the playlist? Do I want my definitive Fall Out Boy playlist to start with something introspective and then work in the pop hits? Or do I want to start with the hard hitting breakdown? Let's keep our pop punk roots flowing. Let the sentiments maybe come in later in the track listing. Even though I do enjoy Water Buffaloes and I feel like it is a strong opener for this album, Thriller is just such an iconic, surprising intro to the album. It serves its job of washing away your preconceived notions of what this band is through magazines or pop media and gets you prepared for the music that's to come. The band is usually performing tightly and they're performing strongly, but they're never really blowing you away. And I find that Andy is really good at just plussing up the drum work. They allow the kit to be heard and it sounds so clean. What I like most about the takeover is how you feel like you've heard the hook. You feel like you've heard the sing along part, the Nets part comes in, and it's even catchier. It's even better than the last. Seasons change, but people don't, and I'll always be waiting in the back room. Paired with the instrumentals, this kind of funk groove, and then the hard hitting snare, when those are paired together, it just creates like the perfect emphasis on the words that makes you want to be a part of it. When it comes to pop music, one of your jobs should be enticing the audience to sing along. And Fall Out Boy has catchy lyrics that make sense on the surface, but there's usually a double meaning or a second imagery commentary that they're trying to create within the song. They say your head could be a prison, then these are just conjugal visits. People will dissect us till this doesn't mean a thing anymore. People are gonna dissect our relationship. People are gonna imagine us and think about us when really we're just thinking about sex. We're having a good time. I think it's with an older woman. Is that what we're going with? Wouldn't you rather be a widow than a D4C? Don't pretend you ever forgot about me. Don't pretend that you got over me, that you left me. There is a fetishization on the hatred that people just conjure up in their mind for individuals on the internet, celebrities, not just this band, all sorts of people, where you just like think and ponder and how it's like it's almost pornographic. If you think about who we're fucking, what we're doing, what we're saying, then aren't you the sexual one? You're the obsessed one. Don't pretend you ever forget about me, good or bad, a widow or divorcee. You're still thinking about us. I think this is a really strong, catchy song. I enjoyed a whole lot, but it is going up against our second choice on Folie Out Deux. Like I was saying with the last one, how that double meaning, that sort of double entendre can add layers and depth to it. Sometimes it can also do a song a disservice. I remember a big reason I didn't even give this album a proper listen to, a proper chance, was because of this song. When you see Fall Out Boy release a song called I Don't Care, paired with the music video that it was paired with, it comes off as this very diva sense of I don't care. I don't care if you like my band. I don't care if you hate us, as long as you think about Fall Out Boy. We're fucking rich, bitch. Sometimes the cockiness in Pete's writing really does them a disservice. When you put in lines like let the guitar scream like a fascist, I just don't know what you're trying to say at this point. Are you saying you're the fascist? I get it. It's supposed to be controversial. I don't care what you fucking think. We're fucking edgy and dirty and like we say fuck. Not in our songs, but on stage, we say fuck. So what are you gonna do about it? But I will admit that when this song is jamming in a car, you have the subwoofer kicking and the chorus kicks in, intense and energetic, and it makes you want to sing to it. I feel like it's kind of simplistic and like the layers here aren't really where a song that's this bitchy and this confident should be, even though I think there are some good lines in here. It was really a bad choice to make this the leading single, where I believe the Takeover the Breaks Over was a single off of Infinity on High. This one just has so many more parts in it that works. So everything I was saying about I don't care sorta applies to This Ain't a Scene, It's an Arms Race. The leading single off of Infinity on High and the song that says, we aren't playing music out here. This is a fucking arms race. We're at war here. This is a battle. Every band's trying to get to the top. We're trying to tear each other down to be the ultimate band. It really feels like the band is trying to say, like, we're the good ones. We're the honest ones. No, you think we're this douchey rock band. You think we're part of this arms race, but we're just caught up in it, baby. I wrote the gossip on giving up, but the real bombshells have already sung. At night, we're painting your trash gold while you sleep, crashing not like hipster cars. No, more like parties. We're having parties here. We're not trying to obtain gold. We're trying to make everyone else feel like gold. I'm the leading man, and the lies I weave are oh so intricate. So don't believe a word I say just because I have a microphone. And then you pair this with like how they would do little jabs at other bands, like when they mimicked Seize a Day, where Sinister Gates is playing the guitar solo on the coffin as it's being lowered into the ground. They parodied that in the music video, so it really made Fall Out Boy seem kind of petty, where they're like, we're over the fucking music scene shit, but we're still gonna like jab and poke fun and be cheeky. It sort of just feels like they're just complaining about drama without really talking about how the industry is. I don't know, I feel like the exploitation of artists is a little worse than the pissing contests you have with other bands. Fall Out Boy has always had their quirks, especially with Patrick singing piled with Pete's lyrics and just the personalities that they bring through their instrumentals. It feels like the flow of the song is compensated for the cleverness of the lyrics, or like the lines or the syllables that Pete Wentz just has to get in, this play on words that he just has to get through. It feels like Patrick's stump is flowing with the song instead of just trying to work in all the words and lyrics that Pete Wentz have like given him. In that sense, She's My Winona sounds very natural. Even though I like the sassiness, I like the attitude in this song. I like the sentiment of what this one's trying to bring. Either hell or glory. I don't want anything in between. We may crash this band, we may blow up in our faces and lose all our fame. That's still an impact. That's still something, baby. Or glory, something incredible, heroic, beautiful, something that rises above the rest to bring hope and inspire other generations who will call you irrelevant and bring up how you changed. Fall Out Boy is basically making a statement that we're not going to do anything half-ass. We were told to bring the thunder, and that's what we're gonna, and that's kind of what we've always done and what we've always tried to do is just fully do our music, to fully outdo ourselves with every record. And this is the first song on this album that kind of feels like that promise to look at music more than just what's a fun, catchy, smart song that we could play. It may be a controversial pick, and I know that Arms Race is like the more iconic song, but to me, She's My Winona is just genuinely so much more enjoyable. And long after I listen to these albums, the one line that does stick with me is how he says thunder. Thunder! Just pops up in my brain every now and again. And then we bring the emo. The motherfucking emo. The best way to make it through. With hearts and wrists intact is to realize that 2 out of 3 ain't bad. He didn't kill himself, yay! But he lost his heart. His heart is broken. Feels like a fantasy, me and you sitting in a honeymoon, like wishful thinking. Here we have another line that could be read as the band itself, where the new face of failure, prettier and younger, but not any better on. Bulletproof loneliness at best, Isolation within themselves, isolation within the relationship. The double meaning I find works really well here and is interesting, though I feel like the chorus gets a little obnoxious with the amount of times they repeat it. It's a little too sugary for me, just a little too poppy. We have another sentimental song from Fall Out Boy, though here they're leaning a lot more into their punker roots and I find that when they do lean into that side with the instrumentals, with their influences, it pulls the song together a whole lot better than when they lean into their poppier side. It gives it just this heavy weight. It's not so like deep and thick that it leaves the instrumentals muddied, and then when they go into the verses, they're mixing in these like newer, funker, poppier sounds that I find that switch, that transition between those influences works so much better here in I'm Like a Lawyer. Using the sweetness undercut with the breakdown and then the twist and the message of the lyrics kind of elevates this song to a spot that's like higher than what it initially feels. And I just find that I grow more attracted to it every time I hear it. Even though I have been kind of unkind to the singles so far, America's Sweethearts is one of their stronger songs that they have released. And so Fall Out Boy does get a lot of shit for their emo tendencies, and I'm guilty of giving them shit too for some of their lyrics being a little cheesy, a little over emotional, overreacting. There is a level where you go over the top that it stops feeling insincere and like cheesy, and it starts to feel kind of dorky and sweet, almost playful, like we're play acting problems. Sometimes we take chances, sometimes we take pills. I seen the blues and I swallow them too. You know, the blue pills, the drugs that you take to make you feel the things. So hum hallelujah, something that brings you joy, ultimate accomplishment, overcoming the odds. I thought I loved you. It was just how you looked in the light. So it's this feeling of young love. Maybe you're inexperienced in sexual encounters. So when you do encounter someone sexually, you don't really know how to process the emotions that comes with that sort of activity with another person. You want to believe in love. You want to believe that this is something special, and the chemicals in your brain can trick you into feeling that. So, a teenage vow in a parking lot. Tell tonight, do us part. I love when any band takes like very common phrases that are just part of our vernacular, just shit that we say and don't even think about. And then they're able to just twist a word or turn it on its head and kind of make you think about it in a new way. Hum that moment of hallelujah, that bliss that you feel with that person in that parking lot. And then they're drawing that with comparisons of like dying, I think overdosing on pills and being in the hospital to get this girl to come see you. And now you're saying, hey, babe, while you're here, there's a chapel. Do you want to marry me before we die? I've always really loved Hum Hallelujah. I like the instrumentals, and I think the lyrics are like dorky and cheesy and fun. This one's genuinely tough. The way the instrumentals sound, the bitchiness of the guitars and the melody. Does your husband know the way the sunshine gleams off your wedding band? The way that he sings it, the earnesty that he has for this married woman. I will never end up like your husband, just ignorant or willfully detached, but behind his back, he is. He is being cucked. You may have the adultery from this man's wife. She is not yours. You are not married. At the end of the day, she goes home to him. Would your husband even fucking understand how our love is? Does he even comprehend this feeling that we have with one another? Does he know? Do I want my favorite bitchiest song about having an affair with a married woman, or this very competent childhood romance song on the brink of suicide and the pettiness that comes with trying to take pills for a girl to marry you in the hospital chapel? They're both so petty that they have similar tones and speak towards the type of cheekiness that I enjoy in a Fall Out Boy song. And while Hum Hallelujah is one of the strongest offerings on Infinity on High, I just can't deny that Headfirst is just one of the best Fall Out Boy songs crafted. The horns in it, the piano, just everything in the mix is just absolutely perfect. And now, Fully Outdo is fully outdoing Infinity on High. I knew the lights of the city were too. It's rare that we get a stripped down Fall Out Boy. No drums, no guitars, just a piano and Patrick sombering over the melody. How cruel is the golden rule? The golden rule to treat others how you would like to be treated, how every action has a reaction, sociability, how do we act towards our fellow man? I have possessions, I carry carrots for everyone to see, and I saw God cry in the reflection of my enemies, and all the lovers with no time for me, and all the mothers who raise their babies to stay away from me. Is this song saying that we need to be nicer to rich people? Like everyone who's complaining about Fall Out Boy and like bitching at them for getting success. All these moms saying, don't go after these boy bands. Don't go after these emo rockers. Stay away from them. So my enemies are crying because I'm successful, but there's no lovers with no time for me. This could be speaking towards the hypocrisy that people are showing Fall Out Boy, but not implementing themselves, or the hypocrisy on the part of the band themselves. I find the emotion in this song very powerful, but there's still weariness in his voice that feels very personal, and you can't help but feel the emotion that he's pulling through in his performance. And the fact that they keep this song at a breezy 2 minutes 30 seconds, perfect. Interesting. We got another gold theme song, the gold standard, the ship, the gold standard. Like a relationship, like we're shipping people. And you're saying this is our shipping standards, or are we? I find this song kind of inconsequential. Like, it's just a Fall Out Boy song on a record. It doesn't have any hooks that really stick out to me. Though I do like the I want to scream I love you from the top of my lungs, but I'm afraid that someone else might hear me. I've never really been able to get into this song. I think Golden is such a unique offering from Fall Out Boy, and the vulnerability shown in it is truly something unique to this band that I would be remiss if I did not put it on the playlist. And look at that. Now we're tied up. Now we're even. Infinity on high. Let's keep it going. And all the mothers tell their babies to stay away from me. I think this is why. I think these sort of memories are why mothers maybe don't want their babies getting involved with you. I only think in terms of crunching numbers in hotel rooms, collecting page sits lovers, like phone book. Are they sex workers? Or are you saying like page sits like tabloids, like like celebrities? It's a prostitute, right? It has to be a prostitute. One night and one more time. Thanks for the memories, even though they weren't so great. He tastes like you, only sweeter. Or is that what the girl that's cheating on her boyfriend? Why is it always the woman that's cheating? What am I gonna do? Not be a home wrecker? It's always funny that these songs start out with kind of these grand ideas. I'm gonna make you bend and break. Say a prayer, but let the good times roll in case God doesn't show. It's like, what the fuck's gonna happen? Is there gonna be a brawl? Is this an underground cage fighting match? What's happening? And then it always comes back down to, oh, we're having sex, and like somebody shouldn't know that. There's a lot of aspects of the song that I enjoy. I always tend to get pushed away when we get lines like, throw your cameras in the air, wave them around like you just don't care. It tends to feel almost like out of place in their songs. I'm a mascot for what you become. To me, this line reads as, I become the symbol of the shitty band that you guys have actually become. These things that you say Fall Out Boy is, that's actually what you guys are kind of doing. And you're just using me as an excuse, or you're using me to say, like, oh, we're not sellouts because we're not Fall Out Boy. We're not like the shitty ones because Fall Out Boy is this. And then the chorus feels like Patrick Sum's attitude, where he's like, I'll never believe anything again. Change will come. The kick drum beating in my chest. Preach electrics to the microphone saying, it's all fake, but we're just gonna keep playing on and we're not gonna care. We're just gonna keep rocking the way that Fall Out Boy knows how to rock. This song's fun with the very heavy string instruments that come in. The way that they sing in kind of like whispered, hushed tones makes it feel kind of dangerous. Thanks for is the better song, the more enjoyable song. I am not so jaded as to not recognize that. But I will say, once again, music video, weird, not good. If Fall Out Boy really wanted to sing me to sleep, they would make more songs like Golden and not up-tempo, fast-paced punk pop songs. I like Fall Out Boy's ability to write guitar parts that are not really the standard for the genre. Pop punk is very kind of reliant on the same musical tropes, either the breakdown or the kick snare, kick snare, kick snare. Fall Out Boy does bring in a lot of influence from like funk and pop, and it really elevates or makes each song sound more unique than if they did write more straightforward punk rock guitaring and melodies. It's like when each song starts, I know it's a Fall Out Boy song, where if you go back to like Take This to Your Grave, I don't know if that same sentiment would hold true. I feel like those songs follow more of a pattern. This song's very quick with its lyrics, and the performance behind them makes everything kind of flow in a way it's very poetic. And there's a lot of metaphors, similes, brillas on the inside. I don't know what that line means. Are we raining in our organs? They say quitters never win, but we walk the plank on a sinking ship. So if you're walking the plank on a sinking ship, technically you're quitting the ship, but you have a chance to swim and not drown. There's a world outside of my front door that gets off on being down. That's fucking true. The world outside is a terrifying, horrifying place. And in that sense, this song speaks a little more to like the writing process and the insecurities that they have. People are against Fall Out Boy. Opening this record with Jay-Z feels very appropriate given that they are working a lot of like hip hop themes into their music, making your haters jealous, being the true one while everyone else is a poser. We get the piano ballad, but we get the instrumentals coming in to make it this powerful experience. I got troubled thoughts and the self-esteem to match. I'm troubled, baby. I have gold records. I'm a rock star. One I can't. I don't understand when Fall Out Boy sings about relationships. I don't connect to it. I'm finding things up from Infinity on High are kind of lingering here. They say the captain goes down with the ship, so when the world ends, will God go down with it? Fall Out Boy ponders God. They evoke God, but it feels like whenever they bring God in, they're more so talking about like this almighty being, just like a almighty thing can be brought down with the ship, or I saw God crying in my enemies. Like the concept of God more than anything actually religious. It's like saying the devil is in you, or like, there's evil. So when Fall Out Boy sings about God, like I never really take it as a religious thing because they just don't come off as a religious band, but yet they still feel the need to evoke it. Contrast with how they want Miss Flack said, I want you back. Yes, Miss Flack said, I still want you back. So is Miss Flack the captain of the ship, or is the ship your relationship? Is she married too? Can't care when we get to like the 5th or 7th song about just another girl that they were fucking that for some reason doesn't want to fuck anymore. Maybe it's her husband. Maybe she has a job. Maybe she's embarrassed. Maybe she's too old. Maybe you keep taking pills and going to the hospital to try and bait her into marrying you for whatever reason. And the song itself is 5 minutes of this kind of dreary, just woe is me shit. In that aspect, it speaks to that high school, middle school emo mentality. But with a band that is this far in their career, it doesn't ring true anymore. And it actually feels like more hollow and pushes me away. Don't you know who I think I am? Speaks a little more true to who they are as people. Infinity on High is on a streak. Fully Outdo was fully outdone after 3 songs. Well, we're 3 songs into Infinity. Maybe it's time to switch it up. I'm a stitch away from making it. That like whiny descent has always hit me wrong. Fucking Green Day. Green Day has another song that is very similar to this, but for some reason that melody just doesn't work for me. And then the chorus that pulls it out is just 2 lines that repeats like 5 times. And then you do another short verse and then you go back into that, say the first verse again. There's just nothing in this song that I enjoy. I really feel like this is an interlude before we enter the final part of this album, and it just feels inconsequential. Like this could be taken off the album and it would actually be a little better for it. Here is an example of a Fall Out Boy song using a different kind of influence, using a different sound than we're used to hearing from them, This one taking on kind of like a salsa, tango-y, Spanish-inspired chorus that just has a little more of a flair to it than I think we're used to hearing, and implementing it into the Fall Out Boy sound. And I think it just blends that much better than whatever the fuck they were trying to do here. The song has a lot of layers to it. It's talking about like the drug of going to shows. I'm guessing the drug of being 27. We could be talking about real drugs, but we're using a lot of drug imagery. We're all wearing anchors on our shirts. I'm assuming he's talking about the pop punk aesthetic, the C aesthetic that we all adopted in the mid 2000s for some reason. When being anchored aboard just feels like a curse. Is the show, I guess. The band is the ship. My mind is a safe, and if I keep it, we all get rich. Wonders in his minds. He has songs in his mind. My body is an orphanage. We take everyone in. When he's playing on stage, his energy, his body encapsulates the audience. It covers them, pulling them into the music, doing lines of dust and sweat off of last night's stage just to feel like you. This line seems to me like it's from the perspective of the audience. In a small club, you can go right up to that fucking stage. You can literally touch the artist. You put your hand on the speaker, they're gonna step on it. You're gonna get your little fingies stepped on by Pete Wentz here. I like what this song says. I like what it represents. It has kind of that dirty, like Western feeling to it. And it's genuinely surprising to hear such a change up in their music, fucking 9 songs into the album. And this is a song that their record label let them say a curse word in. They got to say I can't help but feel like this song is like several other Fall Out Boy songs. The chorus reminds me a lot of XIII off of From Under the Cork Tree, and it feels like it would have been more at home on their earlier albums. Almost feels out of place on the new sounds and different song structures that they've been working with on this album. Almost feels like a step back this far into the album. But I also respect them for still being able to throw just like a heavy, fast song in your face. Though there's always one on every record where they go, hey, Pete, why don't you scream? Go ahead, buddy. The thing is, Pete Wentz, not a great screamer. He tends to rely a little too much on the what I would do to pretend scream. It doesn't really work for me. And the way that they like lower his vocals so you can't really hear it in the track. They don't really like Pete screaming either, but they feel obligated to have him do it since he writes most of the lyrics. And this time he chooses to scream about ice cream headaches, sweet avalanches, bad tipper of the cradle, tired yawns for fawns of hunters' lawns. Whatever, dude, go off. It's a novelty in the sense that it's so dorky I can't help but laugh at it, but it also brings the song down, so I have to like take away points, but like I wouldn't want it out of the song, so it just kind of leaves me in this weird place when listening to songs with him on it. I do think that having 13 songs on an album may be too many for Fall Out Boy. I think Fall Out Boy is probably good for like a really tight 10-song album, make it kind of conceptual, make it thematic, but having these 13, 14-song albums, by the time we get to the back half, it really feels like Fall Out Boy has exhausted a lot of their ideas and they're just kind of tweaking them for variations. And those songs tend to have lesser of an impact. Describing someone as a classic little black dress doesn't really have an impact on me. If I was a teen, like I don't really have a high opinion on little black dresses. They're adults seeming immaturely about relationship things that are above teenagers, but they still talk about like teenage love. So it gets kind of confusing at exactly where Fallout Boy's sentiments come from when this is like the sixth or seventh woman that we heard you singing about. I don't really care. I'm not a crybaby. I'm the crybaby. Sometimes it just doesn't work. Sometimes it just doesn't come together. You do your metaphorical, your symbolic lyrics, you try being cheeky, you try being sentimental, you try making an upbeat, poppy song that people can enjoy, and sometimes it just doesn't work. So I guess I'll take the weird one that is very distinct in my mind with a very questionable screaming part in it over the song that just absolutely does nothing for me. I've always really enjoyed this one as a high quality song on the back half of this album that really feels as strong as some of the earlier offerings. All the performances in this song feel like they're just at the top of their games. The guitar work, the drumming, Patrick's performance is just so good. We may be talking about a relationship again, but this time there seems to be at least a different layer to it. Best friends, ex-friends till the end, better off as lovers, and not the other way around. Them saying we're better off as friends. They're taking the next step. They're going further than friendship. I'd rather be ex-friends if we can graduate to lovers instead of being lovers and being resorted to friendship. Racing through the city, windows down, in the lack of yellow checkered cars. Taxis in the lack of so there's just not a lot of taxis in the cities. The tombstones are waiting. They were half engraved. They knew it was over, just didn't know the date. Oh, so the relationship is doomed to fail? Okay, I guess all relationships are doomed to fail by hell or high water, right? I can't commit to a thing, be it heart or the hospital. They keep bringing out this imagery of the hospital in a lot of songs. Like the hospital is where you go when things are desperate, I guess. When things are at their worst and he can't commit to a relationship, can't commit himself to a hospital, so he can't kill himself. Is this another like kill yourself thing where it's like, I can't live with you, I can't live without you? I like the chorus. It's fun to sing. I really like how they do the whoa oh ohs. What do you got? Okay, so disregarding the old ragtime song that comes in for the last minute, let's focus on the Fallout Boy part because I can't really give them credit for putting better music in a song. He seems to have graduated from the hey, can you leave your husband for me to the I'm gonna leave you for not leaving your husband so you can learn how we're all alone. So if I leave you and I leave you with your husband, you're gonna be alone and you're gonna fucking hate yourself, bitch, and you're gonna wanna come back to me. Let's meet in purgatory on my hips and get well. I love it when my insecure emo singer-songwriters are confidently telling a woman to get on my what makes you so special, you dumb girl, for making me feel things? I'm gonna leave you to teach you that you're lonely and you're gonna need me. Was it I have a bad idea and the self-esteem to match, whatever that line was? Are these insecurities true, or are you the asshole trying to build up these insecurities so the woman takes pity on you when really you're just here to fuck? Bang the Doldrums has an energy to it that makes me happy. I like the chorus. Similar to 4 Year Strong's Heroes Get Remembered, Legends Never Die, pull of fame is this sensual lusting that he has for the green. He's good in bed and he can get by off his sex appeal, but he's better with a pen. He just doesn't have the consciousness to use it for good. He keeps choosing the money every time over the art. And it's that struggle, that lure that the money, that the fame has. More religious imagery, something that I was not expecting when breaking down the lyrics. And I guess I just kind of glaze over it when listening to the album, or it doesn't stick out when hearing it in a different context. But when looking at the lyrics, pulling in, I am God's gift, but why would he bless me with such wit without a consciousness equipped? Once again, it does feel like a detached kind of version of Christianity where it's just like God, like God, like the God, like gods. God, I like that maybe there is a little self-awareness within the band, even if they do kind of counteract that with their more sexually explicit, their relationship forward songs tend to counteract their music scene, introspective, artistic songs. Have you ever wanted to disappear? And why put a new spin on the same old loneliness? This is me, this is you, whatever. I always thought that Fall Out Boy and Panic at the Disco was similar, but they went full Panic at the Disco with this song, even sounding exactly like Brandon Urie at times. It's really embarrassing. There's a lot going on in this song. Production stuff, instrumentals, industrial sounds in the midst that work really well. The horn parts are beautiful. The piano's nice. Brandon Urie's part is memorable and enjoyable. I like the bounce to it. And then, of course, you have to get Pete Wentz's little monologue at the end to talk about all the important things. Even though I think Fame Under Infamy is the better song or the more enjoyable song, I think for the playlist's sake, this one provides so many things. It just adds more layers to our playlist than Infamy. And with that, we come to our final mashup. What do we got? Infinity on High has 2 more songs over Folie à Deux. Folie à Deux is not going to be the dominant CD on this playlist, but it has 1 more opportunity, our number 12 slot. Speaking of Panic at the Disco, they seem to be borrowing the thematic desire for dramatic storytelling that Panic at the Disco imbues their music with. This telling a tale of the DA representing someone in a case and the jury doesn't know. The jury is having issues with the case. Everyone just wants relief. The United States versus disbelief, which there's no specifics here. There's so much to criticize when it comes to the American justice system that to write a song that is like court themed that doesn't really say anything except for being a lawyer is hard and dangerous. I don't think we're really saying anything about the justice system, or like, then why are we listening to this song through the perspective of a lawyer through a case open, case shut. You get paid to close it like a casket. Baby boy can lift his headache head. Isn't it tragic? I don't know what we're singing about at this point, guys. You have gotten away from me. Now we're getting like a little southern rock influence in here, a little dirtiness. Knock once for the Father, twice for the Son, 3 times for the Holy Ghost. I do think it's funny whenever Fall Out Boy's being like badass, sometimes they write lines that are like, don't feel bad for the suicidal cats. Gotta kill themselves 9 times before they get it right. You know how cats have 9 lives, a thing that us adults believe in. They comment a lot on their reputation, and they speak about how it's like either just or unjust. Maybe they deserve it, maybe they don't. But then they do put these empty, stupid rock lines and imagery into their music, especially in their revival albums. I think kind of warrants the hate they get. Like, they are a dorky band. You must dissect and like pick out individual things to really kind of understand your emotions or feelings on Fall Out Boy, really easy to just go with a gut reaction to like hate them or to put them down or to think they're lame because that's how they present themselves and that's kind of who they are as individuals. They do have a lot of merit in their writing style, in their song structure, in their production value, in the creativity that they imbued in their flows and lyrics, that sometimes it hits and sometimes it doesn't. For 2 minutes and 46 seconds, you get a female vocalist that I can't quite pit who it is, guitar parts and sassiness, and Patrick Stump fully flexing in his performance. I think this is a worthwhile last offering from Folie Deux, though we aren't completely done since Infinity on High does have one more track on it. Let's hear it, discuss it. It's making it on the playlist. And with that, we will bring our playlist to a close with a song that feels reminiscent of 70s disco and funk. You start off with this bouncing piano work and a blaring horns that just lift your spirits up for this sassy but very sincere song. Patrick straining himself to his very last breath in the chorus. The truth hurts worse than anything I could bring myself to do. And after all the shit we've heard him go through, all the relationships, women that he's gotten involved with, I think that statement really starts to ring true. And I have to question, is all their shitty behavior a very conscious move by the lyrics to make you kind of hate them, look down on them for their introspection to thus have double an impact? If you're going to create an anti-hero, you have to make them somewhat unlikable for their redemption and to have an impact on the audience. I think this is just like an incredibly powerful closer to an album that elevated the band from being the Chicago pop punk outfit making songs about girls in their basement to this band that demands a backing for their creative drive to constantly be using influences to progress their music forward. Now, are they successful after they break up and come back and reunite and start making music again? Do they hold true to this emotion, to this want and desire to be infamous? I cannot say, since these two albums are the very last time I will ever check in with our dear heroes that propped up a generation on pop punk and hopefully push people to discover further into a genre that has provided so many good ass bands. Fall Out Boy may not be the first pop punk band, they may not be the best pop punk band, but they gave inspiration, opened the doorway for pop punk to become a dominating force in the music scene. And this song, I've got all this ringing in this ear and none on my fingers. A perfect amalgamation of everything I think they were trying to do in this era. And with that, we come to a close on our playlist. 8 Infinity on High tracks and 6 Folie Deux songs. The songs I'm attached to on Folie Deux are a little stronger than the ones I enjoy on Infinity on High. It's just as a whole, Infinity on High is the better put together album. So this is my playlist. Do you agree? Do you disagree? What 2 albums would you put together? I'm Grayson Todd. Thank you for watching. Listen to some good shit, and I will check you next time.